No, I love it.
Steven, I see your comment. I created the stream early, but a wizard starts streaming precisely when he means to. And as you can see, I am the disappointer of Grandalf. Some could say I am Grandalf in costume, but we won't go that far. That's heinous. But a wizard arrives precisely when he means to. Gentlemen, football is back. And we have got a lot to talk about. We've got some people to cook. We've got some good things to talk about.
Yeah.
We've got some good to talk about. We've got some bad. We've got coaches to cook. I know, we got 3 Bama fans in here, a Georgia fan. Both of our teams, especially Coach I, y'all took on a ranked opponent, Power 5 opponent. And listen, for my football guys and gals out there, WKU, they're no slouch, but to take on a top 20 opponent, can't wait to talk Georgia. But we're going to go around the table, let everybody know where they can find you before we kick it off. Jake, how you doing, man?
What up, everybody? I'm doing great, man. Awesome, man. It's been such a fun weekend. I was on with every single one of you guys and different platforms, different channels. We had such a great time talking football. I hope all you guys jumped in and were able to catch that. Also wanted to point out something cool. If you can't tell, this shirt I'm wearing, look at this. Defense on 3. Love it, man. So DBs on 3 is a new product line, and you can do QBs, D-line, you can do running backs on 3. You can choose which one you want. They got a whole bunch of cool gear. You should definitely go and check these dudes out. It belongs to the awesome, amazing Miss Merritt. It is Dave Merritt's wife, who Dave Merritt, as you guys know, DB coach at Kansas City Chiefs, and his son, Dawson, coming to University of Alabama to play for us, man. Appreciate that. So go check out the gear. It's sweet. I'm going to make sure Dave knows, hey, man, I'm sporting it for you. But, yeah, good times, man. And make sure you guys catch me over at Set the Tone College Football. We got a lot we're going to get into this week. It's going to be awesome.
Love it. Coach Sean, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Can't complain. Got through my daughter's 13th birthday. Had 100 different cheerleaders over here driving me crazy, but I made it. Got a chance to actually watch a game or two. JMHO Sports Talk. Please hit me on Twitter. Help me get. I'm about to start being really active on Twitter. Help me get these Twitters or followers or whatever the hell you call it. Yeah, help me get that up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
JMHO, just my humble opinion, on Twitter and YouTube.
Love it. And Coach I, how you doing today, man?
Hey, man, doing good. I consumed a lot of football from Thursday to last night, and about to consume some more here in about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Loving it, man. Y'all can find me at Fanatic Sports, man, on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, IG, all of that good jazz, man. Shout out to the comment section, especially shout out to Corporate Duck, giving a shout out to the Saturday Night Snap Count. He said he was saving his tailgate ticket.
Bro.
We give that out to the best player or whoever you want to vote on the best player on the Saturday Night Snap Count. He was holding his for LSU. He's not gonna be giving his tailgate ticket to the LSU Tigers. And shout out to Surfer Boy and Janet.
Yeah.
Shout out to JB too.
Yep, man. JB, what up, dog? Good to see you, man. Katrina, we see some travel panure. John, our boy John from Bama Talk with John, man. We
what's up, John?
Good times, man. Like, a lot of good stuff, man. It's good. Love it. Love everybody. Ty, you're on mute, brother. You're on mute.
It wouldn't be a show.
Well, that's listen.
Facts.
That's how you know we're live. I got to give the people what they want, and that's I came out in a wizard hat today.
Yeah.
All right. If this isn't entertainment, I don't know what else is.
Entertainment to the max.
Happy birthday to Mia. Love that. And JB, you ever want in on any of these streams? Literally, the way this happens is people are just like, hey, let's stream. Like,
let's roll.
You ever want in? You shoot me a message. You let me know in the chat. We get you in here. It's that easy, man.
Dude.
That easy.
Real quick, Ty. We gotta say it. Deep bring this up. We have to all say it. Happy birthday, Mia. What? 13. Woo, 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 woo. Man, so happy for Mia. I hope she had a great weekend.
I mean, it seems like Coach Sean made it. He had all the cheerleaders over there, so he's alive. He's well.
All right.
A-M.
You
Yeah,
need it.
it was
Oh.
it was hectic.
Love it, man. Love it.
They said happy birthday.
Oh, Mia.
There's
Yeah,
the
happy birthday, girl.
There we go.
Happy birthday.
I don't like this.
13. Where the hell the years go? I don't
Oh, yeah.
I'm turning 30 this year, and it almost makes me shudder to even like say that.
You're good.
I don't feel 30,
Wow,
but
Ty.
It's a
I'll
new
tell
18
you what.
now.
I do feel like, we could start with the good. That's not as much fun. We got to start with the game we saw yesterday because Brian Kelly had an objectively hilarious rant. Guys,
God.
when he got on there and he slammed his fist down,
Mm-hmm.
I did start laughing. And I don't know if y'all saw my quote tweet. I quoted, "It's always sunny in Philadelphia," where Frank looks back and says, "Can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?" Because my thing is, and we're going to go reverse order on this. We'll start Coach I, then Coach Sean. Jake, he had a comment and he said Miller Moss outperformed our quarterback. And Miller Moss played great. I don't think Nuss played bad, right? But my take was, and I just uploaded a video on this, is I said, Brian Kelly, Lincoln put Miller Moss in better situations than you put Garrett Nussmeier. So you want to blame your quarterback, all well and good.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you put him in a better situation? Coach, talk to me about this LSU USC game. And for the good people, it's time to cook some puddle kittens because I will not refer to them as the Bayou Bengals when I picked them and they made me wrong on my Bleacher Report. So it's the puddle kittens once again.
I'm going to start by saying, what's going on, Brisky? I'm going to start by saying that I was one of the few that picked USC. And it simply boiled down to what Ty just said. Lincoln put his team in better positions to score, including the quarterback, than Brian Kelly did. I said going into this game that, yes, maybe both teams supposedly made these defensive changes, whether it was staff or players, things, portal, whatever that was. But at the end of the day, dog, you can't start at 105 from last year and jump up in the top 30 on defense. It just don't happen like that. I mean, you got some exceptions to the rule, but that's not the rule. What happened last night is what I said was going to happen. If you take the defense out of the game and you're counting on one coach to score, who should you be counting on to score? Lincoln Riley, because Brian Kelly has never been that guy to be this offensive juggernaut. He's out here blaming quarterbacks in public. I think that's not a good sign for the future. You know what I mean? You can talk, critique his play in the media, but you don't just put it on the quarterback like that because at the end of the day, Miller Moss wasn't playing against Nussmeier. Nussmeier was playing against the USC defense, and Miller Moss was playing against your defense. So how about talk about the defense giving up some stuff that they shouldn't have gave up instead of blaming Nussmeier? That's what I say. Brian Kelly, man, get used to it, dog. The pressure hot down here in the South, dog. You ain't realized it already. Like we've been telling y'all it just mean more in the SEC. Maybe you realize that now,
dude.
Listen. I can't disagree. And you did say it, Coach. You tried to tell me, but the picks were already in. I'd already made my bed. I completely agree. Don't think you're going to jump from bottom 100 to top 10. I just thought that offense would have a bit more consistency than they did. Though USC's defense, it does look like those hires are going to do well for them. Obviously, like you said, you're not going to jump from being one of the worst to one of the best. It's all about improvement. Brinsky, hop on in here as we're grilling Brian Kelly.
Oh, he deserves it all, man. Anytime we can just pile on Brian Kelly, I love it. He's the most overrated coach in college football. Been saying it for years. I don't know nothing surprised me about this, man. Always love making excuses about something or whatnot. You can't complain about, for one, your defense is not supposed to be looking that bad like it did last year. I'll give them credit. They came ready to play for the most part yesterday, but they didn't come up when it really mattered, especially on the last drive. And a lot of folks, even Kurt Herstreet pointed out, they said that they was trying to let him score at the end. I don't believe that because you only have so much time left, and it ain't
Yeah.
like you can drive down the field and score. So I don't believe they were doing that. But to just let a man go straight up the middle and just score like that towards the end of the game says a whole lot. Did they quit? I hope not. It's only week one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad on their part. Nussmeier, he's cool. I don't see nothing special about him or whatnot because it was USC defense, but that got to give you a lot. We got to give a lot of credit to USC because I did not expect that on the defensive end. I expected them to do something on the offensive end, but the defensive end, I was highly surprised the way they was playing. I'm surprised they didn't use Zachariah Branch more on the offensive end. I don't know. I had number 10's name, but whoever he is, he's a dog. The man was just catching one-handed catches all night on USC side.
Wow.
And so I just don't trust Brian Kelly. I never did, never will. That's why I said he got that one lucky win on us, and that was his career defining moment. He finally beat the GOAT. That's his gonna plan on. That's gonna be his banner that he's gonna hang in LSU Stadium. That I beat Nick Saban down here. You're not gonna win no SEC championship. You're not gonna win a national championship. You're not gonna do anything. You're gonna be fired within the next year. I rest my case.
And that's a great case to rest. You guys, you want to know why I feel so stupid? And Coach Sean, Jake, y'all are going to love this. Coach, I don't think I ever had this conversation with you. My hot take back in January and even, well, really it was probably February, March, right? I think that my hot take back then was that LSU is not going to be the team everybody thinks they're going to be. And that I didn't think that they were going to be good enough to be a SEC contender. I said this back in March. I didn't think that they got the wins on the defensive line that they needed via the transfer portal. Simeon Barrow at Miami, Dominic Williams at OU. They just didn't make the moves to me. And still, I was an idiot and picked LSU because I just thought Nuss was going to be able to get it done. And the big thing, Coach Sean, that I thought LSU would be able to do is run the ball behind that offensive line that could be up for a Joe Moore, right? Like they have some talent. Coach Sean, what were you thinking watching this game? Because I feel stupid.
To anybody in the chat, that is Mia. When you see Dayla, that's her. That's my daughter.
Yeah.
Man, thank you to everyone. Let me say this, man. And I watched this game again on DVR just to make sure I wasn't overreacting to what I saw. LSU lost that game, man, not only because they couldn't stop USC when it counted, they also lost that game because their offensive coordinator got way too comfortable. Listen, man, when you're playing a team like USC, yes, Nuss had a great game. The passing game worked. The pass blocking was outstanding. The pass protection was outstanding. Here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. If you go in the first half and you realize your defense is not playing well, you have not stopped them in anything they've done. You got to adjust on the defensive side of the ball, man. LSU stayed in man coverage way too long. You can't cover these guys. What the hell did they keep playing man for? They obviously was cooking it. I don't understand. It's almost like he didn't realize the weaknesses of his own team. It seems like he just was hoping on a prayer. Okay, dude, listen, USC didn't do nothing special. When you watch that game, they didn't do anything special. They did nothing special. LSU just got some defensive issues, bro. Like their secondary, I don't know if the guys just was out of place. I don't know if I just don't understand, man. It reminds me of Tennessee when we played Tennessee about 2 years ago with Bryce Young. These guys, I counted 3 times they ran the same play, right? And LSU never adjusted, bro. I do not understand if Nuss is having a great game like that, and you know you're moving the ball, right? But you know on the flip side of the game, you can't stop them, right? These guys ran off tackle like 3 times. You made LSU look like a normal Big Ten school. LSU saw that they could run. USC saw that they could run the ball against these guys, and they stuck with it. And they used what Lincoln Riley usually do off of the run game. The thing that pissed me off about it is LSU was running the ball early in the game, and they stopped for some reason. I don't know why they stopped. I mean, I know Nuss was having success throwing the ball, but if you can't stop the other team, at some point, I guess he was just happy going into a shootout. I guess he was in his thinking, we'll just go point for point. Well, USC, because in the beginning of the game, USC was playing some type of quarters coverage. It looked to me like it was some type of quarters coverage, and LSU was having some success every once in a while running the ball, but they completely stopped running the ball. And the point that stuck out to me more than anything is LSU couldn't run the ball when they needed to. When they needed to, they could not run the ball. When they needed to stop USC, couldn't do it. They could not do it, man. The offensive line for USC whipped them in the second half. And it's astounding to me that Brian never adjusted on that. It's astounding to me, man, that they never tried anything different. They obviously thought Nuss was just going to win it on his own. We'll just go point for point. We can't stop them. They can't stop us. Well, USC made some adjustments, man, and start really, really, really making them. I guess they said we'll live or die with Nussmeier, but you're not going to run the ball on us. We'll live or die with you throwing the ball on us. Nuss had a great game, but you're not going to line up and just run the ball on us. And that bit Brian, it bit him. You always take points when you get in the red zone. Brian Kelly panicked, man, and it just really, really bothered me when I watched USC run basic offensive plays off tackle, and they could not stop him. Could not stop him. So shout out to USC. LSU's defense is still what it is. It's kind of like what Coach I said. I don't know who expected them to jump from that low to that high, but they still have issues. They have issues on the defense. Now, Garrett Nussmeier played well. Their pass pro is pretty good. But their defensive front, their back end, they still got a lot of issues to fix, man.
Jake, you're the defensive guy, my man. Talk to me.
Yeah, so quite interesting, right? Like from a standpoint of, I did a video and I re-released it just because I needed people to see this. I did a video actually on USC and the defensive coaches that they had brought in, like that Lincoln Riley had actually made some serious changes, right, to his staff. And I do think, a lot of us gave a hard time because, hey, their maybe their strength and conditioning wasn't as good, but actually, if you watch the game, you saw the improvement they had in strength and conditioning. They showed pictures of the guys like before and after. Those guys packed on some serious muscle. They lost some body fat. They were actually looking very strong, and they showed that in the way they played against LSU. Their defense, USC does not have crazy depth on defense. They don't, but one thing we did see was that D'Anton Lynn is a master play caller. Okay. He is a master at setting up the defense for success. They were able to shut down, for the most part, LSU's running game. And that was a big part of how they were able to control the game. Yes, LSU had some long drives, but D'Anton Lynn was constantly adjusting and getting ahead of the curve. And then as soon as he'd fall back into a pattern where they were able to make some big plays, it was another adjustment. And it would be boom, they're right back on top. So this shows me, along with the defensive line play, I would tell you right now, Eric Henderson is the real deal from a defensive line coach. He is the real deal. That defensive line versus, I'm going to be honest, Ty, I thought the same thing. I thought LSU's offensive line was a Joe Moore, competing offensive line for this year. And of course, we weren't sure if the defensive line, right, needs to oh, okay. I see, man. I got you, Boomer. Yeah, for sure, brother. We weren't sure if that defensive line was able to compete with the offensive line, right? But that was not the case. That D line was getting pressure. They were stuffing the run. They were strong right up the middle, what you need in this sort of defense that D'Anton Lynn plays. Now we go to the other side of the ball defensively for LSU, right? Real quick. And their defensive line brought pressure. Obviously, we can tell you Harold Perkins is the real deal. All right, he really is. But what was interesting is Lincoln was able to scheme this to almost make Harold Perkins not so much a factor in this game. He was literally isolated, and that's an interesting thing. They had moved Perkins from his other position of last year into this new position that he's playing, and I forget the name of it in Baker's defense, but he only contributed in certain situations, but it wasn't dramatic where it popped off the screen. Right? He's a great player, and we definitely saw that when he did get in. But at the same time, you were sitting there going, okay, like they've isolated Perkins, like he's almost a non-factor in this game. And now at this point, like LSU's defensive line is decent, but I really think it came from their linebackers when they brought pressure. But what exposed LSU when they had to bring that pressure because they just were not getting to the quarterback. And then once they did, what we found, though, is that their defensive backs, maybe besides number one was probably their best defensive back, right? Their cornerback. But besides him, I'll tell you what, man, like they exposed a lot of holes, a lot of gaps, and SC took advantage of that. They run, put it in a position, and the next thing you know, they're dumping that ball right into these little holes. And Miller Moss looked like the real deal. So, I mean, there's so much more I could say on this, and I don't want to go too long. But LSU offensively, I'll tell you, Garrett Nussmeier, for Brian Kelly to blame Nussmeier. Nussmeier played phenomenal.
Crazy.
He played a great game. Like, the guy threw the ball really well. 100%. He threw that ball. I was very impressed with Nussmeier.
I don't think they sacked him. I don't think they got a sack on him. Their pass pro was straight.
It was. I mean, they did and you know what? Another part of this, though, too, is they have some wide receivers for sure, but nothing like what they used to have. Put it that way. Nothing like what they had before.
I don't think they gave their running back. I hadn't looked at the stats, but I don't think they gave him enough opportunity. I don't know how many times he touched the ball, maybe 8, 9 times. But the dude averaged, if you look at it, I'd be willing to bet he averaged about 4 or 5 yards. The dude, they didn't give him enough opportunity.
Oh, agreed.
Go ahead, Jake. My bad.
No, you're good. But you're spot on.
Point about Nuss, he was 29 of 38 for 304 yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, or 8 average, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he didn't have 8 touchdowns. He averaged 8 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The interception was even a little bit wonky, right?
Like it was, the game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was even a little wonky. I didn't think that he was the problem, like you said, Jake. That's why in my video I was like, BK, you're thinking that Miller Moss was the better quarterback. And listen, Miller Moss played great. Yeah. No doubt. He had some. It's because they put him in better positions.
Mm-hmm.
See how many carries their running back had. We wouldn't have known.
Which one? For LSU?
But that's a starter.
John Emery Jr.?
Yeah,
Emery,
why y'all looking at it, man? Brian Kelly hadn't been able to run the ball outside of having Daniels at quarterback since he got to LSU. So I don't care if he gave him 40 carries. They just haven't figured out the run game. I tried to tell LSU fans this, like last year, you can't they told me they had 6 running backs last year, but yet none of them had over like 225 yards on the season. Like, dog, you got to figure that run game out. I don't care what kind of offense you're running out here. You can be air raid, you can be West Coast, you can be spread, whatever you want to do. You got to be able to run the ball, man. If you can't run the ball, and USC defense, like Brinsky said, they have made some improvements, but you still got to be able to run the ball on USC.
You got to run the ball, man. How many carries did he have, Ty? Did you see?
10 carries. This is going to piss you off, Coach. So get ready. He had 10 carries for 61 yards and averaged 6.1 a pop.
That's what I'm saying. If USC is scoring like that, you got to run the ball, run the football, man. Dude, if you know your defense is struggling, you got to run the football, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's his bad coaching as a whole, man. You got to, even not even trying to score, you got to keep their offense off the field. Like, that's what you got to do. And as Brian Kelly looks all out of sorts since Brinsky said this on one of our shows, is he lucked up into a SEC championship appearance his first year, and he hadn't really done anything since.
And that was it, man. It always rubbed me the wrong way how he left Cincinnati. I just never liked the man ever since that day. and that's why I think he hasn't won since, because he just left them boys high and dry. and watch Tebow and them boys beat down Cincinnati in the Sugar Bowl. I'll never forget that, man. That's why I like.
I was not expecting him to say Cincinnati. That
I
got
know,
me.
right? I thought he was going to say Notre Dame because he kind of did Notre Dame the same way a little bit, you know?
No, man. I think just the way he left them high and dry for Notre Dame, he didn't finish the job. That's why he won't win. And then now you see him blaming the quarterback for it. I think Bryce Underwood need to take notes on that. Like, hey, man, you sure you want to go play for this guy? That's cool and all. Is he going to be there? Them recruits need to think about what they're going into. Like, this is LSU. I don't like LSU, not as much as I don't like Auburn, but they secondary is not what it used to be since he got there. They were calling themselves DBU, and they had some dogs there. I can't think of nobody that has stood out in that secondary since Darius Stingley left. And ever since he took over that job, can anybody name somebody? I don't think DJ Pickett is even going to sign with them.
Sage Ryan hasn't got it together, the way we thought.
I'm with Bresky. I can't think of no names, and I normally know a lot of defensive guys in the SEC. Period. And I mean they just all out of sorts, man. I don't know how else to say. They're just all out of sorts. And I think Coach said Lincoln Riley did a good job, or Jake might have said it, scheming away from Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
Some of that credit go to Riley. Some of that blame goes to the defensive staff.
Because they still don't know what to do with them.
That's what I'm saying. So Harold Perkins, what LSU fans want Harold Perkins to be is Jalen Walker for UGA. He plays inside. He plays outside. Kirby said in the post-game presser, he made us uncomfortable because he has a skill set that nobody else has, but we have to find a way to use him. And that's what they have to do to Harold Perkins. You got to find a way to use him, man. That's all. They've had him for 3 years, dog, and they still haven't figured it out, and that's on them.
May I say something that if the LSU fans see this, you're not going to be happy. And if y'all disagree, like I always said, this is a show where my goal is not to be agreed with. My goal is to be understood. If you walk away from this and you say, I don't agree with Ty, but I understand where he's coming from, I would have done my job. Coach I, Jake, Brinsky, Coach Sean, I want you to imagine Kirby, if they had Harold Perkins, or Kane Womack with a Harold Perkins. You think they'd figure out what to do with them? Because I'm a bet a lot of money that the answer is an overwhelming yeah. Brent Venables with a Harold Perkins. They wouldn't have this issue. Hell, we're going to cook him tonight, but Dabo with a Harold Perkins.
Real talk. Real talk.
It's gotten to be sad, honestly.
Let me say this too, Ty. Just my humble opinion, I think they got, and Jake probably could speak to this much more than I can. When I watched that game back, they got Sage Ryan playing out of position. He very stiff hipped, Jake. On his back, on coming out of his break, he's stiff as hell, man. Now he's a wonderful safety, but I think they had him playing corner. And if you remember that last USC drive, he was sort of out of phase. He was sort of playing a weird coverage. I don't know if he was. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but they went at him. That time. But I think he's a safety. But I think LSU had him playing corner a lot. Sage Ryan. I'm not sure. If I remember, he was a safety. But
yeah,
for some reason
he's
they
still safety.
had him on the corner.
Yeah, he's still a safety, but what they're playing him, I think what they're using him as is like basically because they play they play this multiple front defense that you see with that's a 33-5 or 4-2-5 look. It rotates in and out. You're seeing that obviously with everybody. So he's coming in and playing in this position that is like basically that nickel, right? Like what we would see in Womack's defense, very similar to, I think it would be the Husky kind of, or a Rover, right? Where he plays closer up and then he'll end up taking potentially man, depending on the route combo. You're right. Like, I think you put a guy out there who doesn't have the, I guess, the flexibility or the skill set necessarily yet. I mean, you can get that if you practice it, but it takes a lot of time. And he's playing, what you probably found too with him is he's fallen a lot into a back pedal instead of a shuffle shuffle and slide, and he wasn't
Scooching.
staying square. Yeah, scooching. He wasn't staying square, right? So he was turning his shoulders, and as soon as you turn your shoulders, you dedicate yourself to a side. It's hard to get back to the other side. You now have lost multiple steps, and they talk about that when playing DB. But it was interesting because I do feel like, though, that was kind of the case with you had one defensive back out there who is truly that guy, and it was number one for LSU. I mean, he definitely made plays. His effort was phenomenal. He's putting himself in the right position. But at the same time, as soon as they started bringing the heat, because I think they were trying really hard to get Perkins involved, but Lincoln had schemed away from him. Lincoln had schemed in positions basically that he, again, was isolated and could not become a factor in the rush game or even in the run game, which was interesting. That was probably the most interesting thing, is how SC was able to run the ball against these guys. So yeah,
well, I
fun to watch.
Want to give Jay an opportunity. Jay, welcome to the panel as always. Jant716 right here on YouTube, longtime friend of the show. For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure at this point everyone does, Jay was the first person I ever streamed with on YouTube. We've been doing pretty consistent content ever since on these live streams. Became a very good friend of mine. So, Jants, I want to let you cook BK, because I know you're dying to cook a few coaches. And then after that, we're going to cook Florida before we get into some Bama talk, some Georgia talk. And I know you want to cook Dabo. So by all means, Chef Jay, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, let me just give a lot of credit to USC. I don't think there's been a bigger hater than me when it comes to USC. So I got to give a lot of credit to Lincoln Riley. I got to give a lot of credit. Their defense came to play. We talked about Matt Zentz, and we talked about how that defense, how was it gonna be compared to how it was last year? Because last 2 years has been an historically bad defense, and that defensive front was very impressive. Now their secondary was trash, but overall wise, I thought their front seven did a really good job. And the fact that you went toe to toe in terms of the physicality, in terms of gap discipline against one of the best offensive lines in the country with potentially 2 first-round picks with Will Campbell and Emory Jones, that was extremely impressive. Probably the most impressive thing about it, though, was their tackling. Their tackling was sound. It was very, very sound in that first half. They came to hit. They came to play. And listen, hell of a football game. Hell of a football game between those two teams. However, though, we do got to talk about the choke artist, which is Brian Kelly, because once again, he can't win a big game when it matters most. Game management, blaming the players and not really holding yourself accountable. That's typical Brian Kelly. It's a very Dan Mullen-like sort of moveset. Again, we talk about clock management. We talk about game management overall. That's the biggest fault of Brian Kelly his entire career, whether if he's at Cincinnati, whether if he was at Notre Dame, and now whether it's at LSU. It's a big criticism of his. And now all of a sudden, when we talk about the big games, big moments, Brian Kelly once again chokes. And so, yes, all the LSU fans, including, you get some of the biggest personalities, such as a Matt Moscona, was going to sit up here and criticize Alabama for playing at Western Kentucky. But yet all those years ago, when we kept playing week 1 against some of the best teams in the country, what was the biggest criticism? Oh, why aren't we playing that team at home? Now, all of a sudden, when we do play against, we schedule Wisconsin, we schedule Florida State, we schedule an Ohio State at a home-and-home series, we scheduled Texas last year in week 2. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, why are you playing Western Kentucky, and why are you playing all these other schools in week 1? Make up your minds in terms of what you want. Again, LSU, you didn't have to schedule UCLA. You didn't have to schedule USC, which, by the way, you're 0-2 against those teams in Los Angeles. Maybe LA is a bad spot for you. But the fact that you have not won a season opener since 2019, that is a testament to your program. That is a testament to the coaching. That is a huge testament to your coaching. And this is exactly why LSU, I kept hearing, man, that, hey, LSU, this is a very dangerous team, could potentially chance for a playoff spot. And it is very possible because I like Nussmeier. I like that offensive line. I like that receiving core. But their defense, and let's give some credit to their front seven. Their front seven, even though it wasn't perfect, I think their inside linebacking play, I think Greg Penn was I thought Greg Penn was the best line, not Harold Perkins. I thought Greg Penn was the best linebacker. He was very, very disciplined. He was solid in coverage, very, very instinctual. His pursuit was amazing. Perkins, whenever they had him play as an off-ball linebacker, was terrible. Again, he's Micah Parsons. He should be consistently rushing the passer. He should have I don't even know what this thought process of him playing as an off-ball linebacker is. He cannot play that position at a high level. He is a pass rusher. They need to convert him into a defensive end because that's what he is. But other than that, for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I mean, there's not that much to say. Again, we got a lot of time to kind of go over that sort of jazz. But yeah, Brian Kelly choking in big moments once again, not a surprise.
I want to talk about this Miami Florida game, right? We got a Miami fan in the chat. We got a few. Anthony, longtime supporter of the channel, says, Coach, I already asked the other people on the panel this, but what are your thoughts on Miami's performance against Florida in the swamp and the way they blew them out at home? First off, and I have been saying that Billy Napier hot seat talk was so interesting to me because of the buyout being $26 million, because of the schedule that they're going to have in 2025. It's going to be a terrible slate. It's not the typical situation you would want to have a new coach come in, right? Because you don't have an easy out. And I get sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, but theirs is messed up. And you have the buyout. But guys, after what I saw on Saturday, fire him into the sun. I don't give a damn anymore. That was one of the most pathetic things I have seen. Gentlemen, there was a point in the game where it could have been 6-3. And I'm not even bringing this up to say, oh, Florida could have won the game, because guess what? Miami was better. Like, yeah, Graham Mertz had some opportunities. He had some wide receivers that had one-on-one opportunities. But shout out to Miami's defensive backs. They were in position. So, I mean, you're talking about, if I'm being generous, 50-50 opportunities. If I'm being generous. Miami was the better team. But what killed me, and when I almost threw my phone across my backyard, is seeing where it should have been 6-3. You stop Miami in the red zone, but then you late hit the quarterback. And it wasn't even, I got to be honest, Coach I don't know if you saw it, Alabama had a penalty called on Western Kentucky where they hit Ty Simpson. It was a hard hit, but they called roughing the passer. That was a bad call. That was a bad call. That was a football play through and through. The guy hit him in the chest as Ty Simpson was throwing the ball. And I'm not even mad at Ty Simpson for throwing the interception. He got nailed as he threw the ball. There's no way you were going to get the power you needed on that ball. I'm not mad at that interception. That's football. That was a football play. But what Florida did, they were trying to send a message, and guess what? Message received. Stupid. That's the message I got. Stupid. You stop them. You could have them have a field goal, and instead you try and show Cam Ward, oh, we're going to, not in our house. Well, guess what? It wasn't your house all day long. Miami, Anthony, Cam Ward looks phenomenal, which my question was never Cam Ward. My question was Mario. You passed an early test. I'm excited to see what Miami does down the stretch. Running back play is great. I didn't hear the update on Ruben Bain. Hopefully it was something where he got a little bit of an injury and could have came back, but out of precaution, they held him out because that young man is special. That's a special player you got over there in Ruben Bain. Damian Martinez looks as advertised. The offensive line played well, but you kicked Florida's ass in every phase of the game to the point where I was embarrassed for Florida fans. Billy's not the answer. He's not. We'll go in reverse order this time. Jake, talk to me. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, this is an interesting game, right? Because I had picked Florida too. I thought for sure this year that Florida had made those changes and that within their locker room, there's a lot of good things going on. You had heard about it from the recruiting aspect of guys taking visits and what they were feeling. You felt that maybe like with the silence of the team not being so much in the media, but they were really focused on, hey, Lynn, how you doing, man? They're really focused on, playing their game, right? And you thought, okay, these guys are going to come out focused. You saw what Mertz did last season with his ability to manage the football and really, be consistent for the most part. But then, dang, you walk in there and you think, all right, these guys are going to step up. The next thing you know, Miami is not the Miami maybe we thought they were going to be, right? Miami, we all said we're really interested to watch Cam Ward. Is he the difference maker, right? To make these things change for Miami? Is he the one that gets Miami back on track, that they look like the U again? Well, I'll tell you what, they definitely looked like the U. They came out there and they brought it to Florida. Florida, the mistakes, no discipline, lots of errors. The effort didn't even seem that good. You're right. Like at this point, you have to start asking yourself from a program standpoint, is Napier the answer? And I don't know, because I like Billy Napier a lot as a coach. But this has too much got out of hand.
That shit was embarrassing.
Oh, it was embarrassing. It was. And, you wanted to see him at least put up a fight. And no, Miami walked into the swamp and went gator hunting, and they got a big one. So, boom, boom. That's what happens, man. They threw him into the boat and took him to the sail yard, right? And they measured it out and they hit a good one. So I'll tell you, Rude, here's the deal. Miami's the real deal, and I think they are a true threat to the ACC. We'll find out tonight if Florida State can rebound, but I think Miami's that team. So hats
Coach
off.
Sean.
For me, man, Florida don't look no better this year than they did Billy Napier's first year. Big, slow, unathletic offensive line. Very, 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 very extremely bad play calling. I mean, you help Miami so very much with your play calling. Cam Ward is a dual threat quarterback. What the hell are you dropping 8 for? I'll take my chances in man. I'll show me you can beat me with your arm. The hell are you dropping 8 for? It was sometimes dude just jogged the first down, looked like he was out there taking a nice sprint jog. He just went out of bounds. I mean, what the hell was that? Like, you dropped 8 the whole first half, and I swear this dude was just jogging as if he was out jogging with his little puppy or something. I was like, I don't understand what the hell that was. The competency of the defensive play calling with that guy did not help them. They couldn't cover Restrepo when they did. It was just a cluster, man. Mistakes, like Jake said, undisciplined. Man, listen, it don't get no easier for Florida here in the next coming weeks. Sure, they got a couple of little small guys. I think they play Samford and a couple of other teams. I think they play Central Florida. Brother, it don't get no easier. It doesn't get any easier for Florida, man. And here's the deal. The dangerous part about that game is there is no improvement I see with those guys. They say DJ Lagway. Man, listen, you could put DJ Fluker back there. It don't matter. They can't block.
You could put,
what I mean? The receivers not getting off press coverage. The play calling don't support what they're trying to do. They have no identity whatsoever on offense or defense, for that matter. I will never understand dropping 8 against that quarterback. Show me that you can beat me with your arm. Show me. And then if you beat me with your arm, cool. But this guy was taking off. Like, he was almost laughing as he was running. Like, I don't understand at all. Billy might be in some trouble, man. Billy might be in some trouble. And that was an embarrassing loss. Miami and Florida is rivals. We all know how they feel about each other. Even Mario Cristobal got in on the action. He did a gator chomp and chopped it in half.
I saw that. Broke the jaw over his knee.
That was terrible. That was bad, brother. It's one thing to lose. It's one thing to lose like that. Shout out to Lynn and shout out to Nicole.
Yo.
Shout out to Alan for the $5 donation, and shout out everybody here. We understand two most valuable things you have in life, time and health, and you're spending your time with us here this evening, and that is not lost on me or anybody in this panel. Thank you very much for the $5. Alan Berry saying, I think LSU fans owe Notre Dame fans an apology. BK is not the elite coach they think he is. I can't dispute it. I can't at all. At all. And I mean, listen, you look at what Notre Dame just did against an A&M team, and that was a solid game, but that was a solid win by Notre Dame. That defense for Notre Dame looks legit. Or is Weigman that bad? I don't know. I don't know. But thank you for the $2, Alan. He says Lane, next Florida coach. Hey, with Lagway, Lane Kiffin with Lagway would be really fun to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. But I agree with Truth. Would Lane go to Florida? He's got Ole Miss humming right now. Florida's a big brand. No doubt about it, right? Like Florida is a brand, bigger brand than Ole Miss. And I know Ole Miss fans probably don't like hearing me say that, but like, let's be honest, historically in college football, right? Like the Gators, come on now. I don't know. Jance, I want to hear your take on this. Talk to me about Billy, because, earlier in the year, we said if they make a bowl game with this schedule, they should build a statue outside the stadium. Good news, Florida. You don't got to build that statue. Y'all aren't making a bowl game. It's going to be a long season if that shit continues. Jance, go ahead.
Well, so the funny part is when I'm watching that game all throughout the fourth quarter, I watched the stadium and I wanted to see what was people's reaction, because normally you'll see, a bunch of Florida fans booing and stuff like that. It's weird when fans are cheering in the fourth quarter when you're down by 4 touchdowns. And again, a lot of it, DJ Lagway's in the game, and whatever Florida is going to make a play, their fans are cheering. It wasn't abandoned like I thought it was going to be. It was a lot of people in there, even all throughout the last 4 to 5 minutes of the game. A lot of people stayed. And I think because if we go back to the AD statement about Billy Napier, it was about patience. You need to have patience with Billy Napier, because I don't think people realize how crappy of a spot he actually was when he took the job. And Dan Mullen, and this is what I always keep saying, guys, Dan Mullen is a POS because of what he did to Billy Napier taking that job. It's bad, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, when those players were celebrating against an FCS school late in the season to win their 4th or 5th game of the year, and Dan Mullen is doing the Samoan Hauga, that's how you know it is an issue. It's a big utter issue, and it's a big utter problem. Now, recruiting has been terrible. Their pipeline has pretty much been screwed up, because now all of a sudden, teams that are going towards that Florida pipeline are pretty much getting their feet up, going inside the cookie jar and doing whatever, and just taking whatever they want to take. They're stealing all the recruits. Their pipelines is messed up. The recruiting press is nice. And what are you going to do? Are you going to buy out Billy Napier? Are you ready to pay the $26 billion? Because that's what you got to do. You got to pay him $26 million to buy him out. So are you prepared to do that? That's the question. So when I look at those Florida fans and I just take a look at their reaction, they know that Billy Napier is not going to get fired. They know that this is a rebuilding year, right? And honestly, I'm sorry, the next 2 to 3 years is going to be a rebuilding year, because I don't care if Nick Saban is coaching that team. It is a mess from a organizational, structural, from all the way from the top to what we see right now on the floor. The players, if you take a look at some of those players' Instagram, when they're sticking up the middle finger saying F this program, when you go back to what the fans are saying on social media, and again, it's not like hey, Billy Napier should be fired. It's like a depression. Like, these fans are just, it's sad. It's a sad reality, because even if you fire Billy Napier, it is nothing you can do. There is not a coach that you can hire that can fix this, because it is not a Billy Napier issue. It is an entire program issue. And until everyone gets cleaned up, you are going to continue to have the same issue. But it all ties back to Dan Mullen, because Dan Mullen and his relationship with that front office was in shambles, and it affected those players. It affected the field. It affected recruiting. And Billy Napier walked into purgatory. And it's it's just nothing you can do. You can't escape it. So yeah, Florida is just an absolute. It's an absolute mess. Again, go back and watch the fans' reaction in the last 4 minutes. It tells you all you need to know about about the state of the Florida Gators program. It is no longer a program where the standard is winning 10, 11, or 12 games and competing for national championships. The standard is just to survive. And when you and again, shout out to Florida fans. I know what it feels like. Trust me. I know. I think Bama fans, especially during the 2000s, we know how it feels like when we're in purgatory. Eventually, something is going to change, but it has to start at the top. You just can't hire a great head coach and thinking that he's just going to fix the problem. You have to start at the top. You got to cleanse that entire program needs to be cleansed. And I think once you start to do that and work your way up from the to the top and all the way to the bottom, that's when you can find your next great head coach. Then you can try to get your pipeline back, and then that's when you can start getting it right. But in terms of what Florida is right now, guys, this is not just a 1 or 2 year program, or I'm sorry, this is not a 1 or 2 year issue. This is a 3 to 4 year issue, right? Think about what Miami had to go through for 20 years. Think about what they had to go through when they left the Big East, how bad it actually was for their program. That's what Florida's going through right now. It is a mess. It is a very, very hot mess. Even if they somehow, some way buy out Billy Napier, next head coach is not going to fix that problem. He's not going to fix the problem. I feel bad for Shamar James. I feel bad for Chris Marshall. And I feel bad for Eugene Wilson, who have to waste all that talent pretty much just being stuck in purgatory. Again, Graham Mertz, why is he starting? Why is he starting? It makes no sense when DJ Lagway has been the better quarterback all throughout fall camp, but you want to go. But you know why DJ Lagway is not going out there? Because Billy Napier knows what it is. He knows that this team is trash. He knows that all the offseason drama with the camp, with all the fights and all the this team is not unified. This team has no commodity. You gonna put a true freshman quarterback out there with all that mess? No, you're not gonna. No, you're gonna make him sit. You're gonna make him wait until everything gets better. Not throw him in the fire. Like DJ Lagway has outplayed Graham Mertz all throughout fall camp compared to all these notes we talked about. But yet Graham Mertz got to start. Why do you think that is? Florida is it's a mess. It's a mess. And until you cleanse everything out, you're gonna get stuck in purgatory.
It's an interesting comment right there. That's going to be fun to watch in the offseason to see what happens with this. So,
what year is this for Billy Napier at Florida?
3.
I think it's 3.
Can't
Three's
win more
kind of
than
that
7
magic
games.
number. Yeah.
Can't win more than 7 games, man. He's been there for 3 years. You can't win more than 7 games. Why do you think that is?
And I don't think they're winning 7 games this year. Based on what I saw and the schedule they have, Godspeed, Florida. Georgia's going to work them. The lack of athleticism I saw up front, Georgia's going to work them. Brinsky.
You see Shelby's comments, Ty? See Shelby's comment? That's a good comment right there. That's something to think about right there. Woo! Oh.
So what I tell you on Saturday, man, my partner is a big Florida Gators fan. He did not want to bet me on the annual Georgia and Florida bet. It was like automatic. But some reason this year, he just didn't want to admit how bad they were. He was just like,
how crazy is that?
I'm going to wait to see how we look. You already know how y'all look, man. You know how that schedule is lined up. You knew Georgia. It didn't matter who Georgia put on the field. I didn't care if they had Malachi Stark playing quarterback. You wasn't beating Georgia.
Facts.
You guys are trash, man. I like my fault. Jan said it all, man. It's just no way Billy Napier, from what I seen Saturday, it's no way he's making it throughout the whole year and he still has that Florida job. It's just no way. I thought they can at least, at best, I said if they didn't get this win, it's going to be tough for them to even get 5 wins. as of right now, I see them beating Sanford. They may can get Mississippi State. But outside of that, man, I can see them winning 3 games. Maybe 3 games. DJ Ladway may be in the transfer portal. Maybe the hottest thing smoking come next off season because, man, I just don't see it, man. This is literally the hardest schedule I have seen in a long time. Well, technically, we played it last year as Alabama, but Florida ain't Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee or whoever. So I'm just saying, man, it's sad out here for Billy Napier. Hey, you can come back and be analyst because my brother is over with at Florida.
He ain't got no faith in them. 3 games. My God. My God. Coach I.
Woo. There's a lot. Hey, man, I was taking notes, man, while y'all was talking. Listen, I want to start out by admitting this the last time on YouTube. I won't say it again. I won't remember it if you ask me after tonight. I did pick Florida to win the game on our Pick'em segment.
I did too, and I was just kidding, by the way. Just a joke. Coach I was in on the joke.
Right. I threw up a little bit when I said it, but I thought they would have more fight because it was in the swamp. Like, what? Listen, man, I'm a late 90s dog. I've been watching Florida for a long time. I mean, I watched them beat up on the Dogs for a long time, but they always had fight at home. They didn't have any fight Saturday. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, like Miami just looked hungrier. We all know that Cristobal's a trenches guy. His trenches finally look like, you know, the trenches that he wants them to be, even when they lost Bain to injury, or let's just say he's hurt. I don't want to say injury. I don't want the guy to be out. They didn't miss a step, and Florida they didn't look like the same Gators. Like even when they've been losing, you know, here in the past 5 years or so, they just look they look better. Like Saturday, they looked defeated from I don't know, after the first drive or two. they like Todd, I think you said it. They shot themselves in the foot with personal penalties. You know what I'm saying, to start it out. Mertz wasn't consistent even in the intermediate. He doesn't have a strong arm, but he wasn't consistent in the intermediate. They only got one playmaker on offense, man, and that's Trey Wilson. That's it. Like, bro, he's the only playmaker they got it. I like Montrell Johnson, but he ain't no like. I know he got the long run, but that was a missed assignment. I think the safety came up and fit the run the wrong way, so he broke out on the edge, and it was a home run. But he's more of a 5 yards in the cloud of dust type dude anyway. So, but Wilson is the only playmaker they got out there. I'm gonna say this about Napier, man. Listen, I don't think I never say he's a good coach or a bad coach. I know a lot of people say he's a good coach. I can tell you one thing, he ain't enough butthole to be Florida's coach. I can tell you that. I don't care who you change at the top. If you're gonna be a Florida coach and you be successful, you gotta have some butthole in you. You know what I'm saying? Urban Meyer got some butthole in him. You know what I'm saying? Steve Spurrier got some butthole in him. Think about all the guys that, like, I know Dan Mullen, actually, he had one bad year, but he got a little butthole in him too, and he actually was a little bit successful his first couple years. But outside of Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier, nobody's lasted more than 4 years other than Will Muschamp. Will Muschamp lasted 4 years. Everybody else 3 years. Ron Zook 3 years. Dan Mullen 3 years. This might be the last year, like Brinsky said. I don't know. Listen, I'm out here advocating, and I want y'all to stop saying this stuff out loud because I believe the power of life and death is in the tongue. Stop saying Napier's getting fired. I like Napier in Gainesville, so the Dogs can keep beating up.
I know you like him.
I bet you do.
So stop speaking that out loud. You know what I'm saying? Coach Sean brought up a good point. They was dropping 8 a lot. Problem is when they dropped 8 and they had good rush lane discipline, they actually caused Cam Ward some problems. The problem is they didn't have good discipline all the time, and you can't drop 8 if you're not going to have rush lane discipline. Because he's actually not actually looking to run. He's looking to extend the play and make a play, and he was killing them because only a couple of times did they keep their discipline, man. To Jance, hey, man, I appreciate that's the rant I was looking for. I was looking for that on the LSU. You kind of let LSU off the hook. I'm gonna let you know that with your rant, man. You gave the right rant to Florida, but I will disagree with you on one point. I do not feel bad for those players. ETN got out where he could. These players could have signed with another college. They could have left in the transfer portal, but they want to stay for this embarrassment. This I don't even know if we want to call it a program. So that was their choice. The portal is alive and well. Them boys could have got out of there. So much for putting on for the home state. I'm done.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
good.
disagree.
Yep, should have left when you did. They didn't want to do it.
Well, we're at that time, gentlemen. We got 2 more games to talk about. I know this FSU Boston College game is about to begin, but luckily, we're not going to have as many rants about these next 2 games, though I do believe that the first one we'll talk about, Jance might lose his little bit. Georgia Clemson. Georgia goes out there, absolutely demolishes Clemson. There's some things you see with Georgia, and you're like, yeah, that's the dogs. Nate Frazier, Coach I, great pick. Coach I and I were talking before the game, and I was telling him, hey, I'm going on High Top Sports morning show. I'm thinking of some players that I want to pick as my breakout guy. What are you thinking? He hit me back instantly. Nate Frazier. He said, book it. 100% right. That guy looks really good. I actually was hoping Kirby would unleash him a little bit more. I mean, he's electric, right? I'm really liking him. But Coach I, it's only right that we start with you on this because Georgia's your team, and Jeremy's saying only 6 in the first half. Clemson's got a good defense. Like, listen, we're not going to act like Clemson's defense is the issue. The issue is that offense that has been piss poor for a long time now. Defensively, they got some dudes. It's
no. Tell how it is. There's one issue.
Well, it's Dabo, but
and it's the quarterback and Dabo, but it's the quarterback.
Well,
that quarterback is trash.
I'll let you expand on that, man, because I know you messaged me instantly whenever that game happened and said you couldn't wait to cook Dabo, and I replied with the "Who I Smoke" gif. So I'm gonna let you handle that one, Coach I. Talk to me.
Hey man, listen. I think the game, us football knowers, the game kind of went like we kind of expected it to go. You know what I'm saying? We saw a good. Again, Clemson is good on defense. I think they're one of the top. You know, I think their starting 11 is top 10. Now the problem I think we saw on Saturday is they don't go very deep, and that's not normally how Clemson rolls. They definitely got to figure that out. But the problem is on the offensive side for them. We got the Respect the Hedges tomorrow night at 8. So if y'all want to see me really go in, because there were some things. Georgia scored 34. Yes, 6 in the first. Somebody pointed out 6 in the first half. That was a lot to do with Clemson and a lot to do with the Dogs too. Because I was texting Ty on Saturday, and I was like, this is how I watch games. I was texting him Friday during the OU game too. This is how I watch games, and there's a lot to be corrected for the Dogs as well. Good win, man. Listen, man. A lot of people talk about Garrett Riley and this not running his offense, bro. Go back and watch some of the plays. It's some of the same stuff they was doing at TCU.
It's definitely his offense. Facts.
Like it's like go back and watch some of the plays at TCU. Listen, okay. When you got like watch some of the plays that like they had a chance. So, okay, I'm just going to – everybody started the game and saw the game. You might not watch the whole game, but I'm going to give you an example. Like, he did draw up a really good play. He drew up a really good play to start the game. So, but it's Dabo, like, and I don't know who Jan's going to go in. It's Dabo, it's Riley, it's Cade, it's the receivers. It's like their whole offense, though. So, to start the game, he actually drew up a good play. If you go back and shout out to Ty, if you go back and watch the all 22, they had us cook for at least 15 yards on the first play. Cade throws the ball in the ground. Wide open running back, wide open. Cade throws the ball in the ground. But then the rest of the night, it's like you can say it's Dabo not letting him run his offense. But again, if you go back and watch TCU when he was the OC under TCU, don't just look at the stats that they had or the wins. Go back and actually watch the game. He's running some of the same plays here. And I'll be honest with you, with better talent overall, they just don't have playmakers. TCU had a playmaker at quarterback. He wasn't talented like Cade, but he was more of a playmaker than Cade was. Their wide receiver, they had the big guy with the Quentin Johnson or something at wide receiver. Clemson ain't got that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Clemson got some stuff to figure out on offense, and it ain't just it like Jan said, it's Cade, definitely. He's a part of the problem, but they haven't been the same on offense since Jeff Scott left. And this is the third OC they've had since Jeff Scott left. Jeff Scott was a better recruiter than anybody they had on offense. Also, CJ Spiller ain't the answer at running back coach, by the way. A great player, but just not the coach that they need at running back coach. But yeah, Jeff Scott was a better recruiter. He was a better developer of wide receiver talent and a better play caller than anybody they've had. That's who they missed the most. They haven't, Wes Goodwin on the defensive side. He ain't Brent Venables, but he ain't let them drop off the face of the earth like that. They still good on defense. So
yeah,
they got a lot of stuff to fix. The Dogs got some stuff to fix. Of course, I did tell Ty about Nate Frazier. A lot of things went into that. I mean, if you watch this high school film, you knew out of the running backs that we got in the recruiting, all of them were good, but he was just the most explosive, just coming into coming out of high school. And we didn't have Trevor Etienne, we didn't have Rod Robinson, Branson Robinson. For all the Dog fans out there, you shouldn't have expected a lot from him. He's still yes, he's cleared to play from his ACL, but he also tore his MCL as well. He won't be the same Branson Robinson that you expect until next season. He's going to need another 6 months or so to become him, to feel right with that knee. And I got a bone to pick with Bobo about that, but I'll do that tomorrow on Reflect the Edges. But shout out to Carson Beck doing what Carson Beck does. He did miss some throws as well. And shout out to the transfer portal. We got 2 receivers out of the transfer portal. Neither one of them started, but both of them scored on Clemson. That was Kobe Young from Miami and London Humphrey from Vanderbilt. So shout out to the transfer portal.
Brinsky, talk to me. And before you go, Brinsky, I do want to talk about Branson Robinson very quickly. 15 seconds, if you'll allow me. I was texting with someone, Coach I, who's very high on Branson Robinson, and they said, I'm a little, I just don't know. And I said, one, I think it's the injury. There were some times where he could have broke it outside. But Coach Sean, as you'll know, if you're a running back, you break it outside, you're going to have to cut, right? Like you're going to have that safety or that DB coming up. You're going to have to make a cut. And when you've injured your knee, Coach Sean, you're the one who said this. It was in my mind from when you talked about this not long ago, that first few cuts you do after a bad injury, it's almost scary. And so I was like, I think he's just trying to run behind his offensive line because he knows, like, okay, well, I'm safe here. Right. Yeah. And that's at least what it looked like to me. I was instantly thinking of Coach Sean whenever I was watching Branson Robinson talking about the experience of being a running back, being injured, and the mental aspect to injury, as well as the physical aspect of injury. And that's one of the things, guys, that I'm so lucky to have. Guys like Coach I, Coach Sean, Jance, Jake, guys that played. Brinsky, did you play? Yeah, you and I are the
hooper.
I'm a basketball.
There we go. There we go.
Hooper.
There we go. Right. Well, I can't even say I'm that. Right. I'm just here. But it's one of the reasons why I'm so blessed to have guys like this on the panel, because you get that perspective that I can't give you. Right. And that's what really elevates this show. It's not me. It's all of you contributing, and it's all the guys we get on the panel. Brinsky, talk to me about Georgia and Clemson.
Well, my first message is to Peter Woods. There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
Terry, respectfully, I disagree. Terry said we don't need Peter Woods in the portal. Terry, respectfully, listen. Crazy. If Peter Woods wants to come home, I'm like Dr. Evil to Mini.
Peter, Athens ain't but 60 miles from
Turn that down.
Athens ain't but 60 miles from Clemson, Peter.
You don't turn Peter Woods down. No.
That's a bad boy.
You can play your real position at Athens, Peter. D tackle. Come on down.
Facts. Got that man out there playing. Don't even get me started, bro.
Because I didn't know what was going on. Just watching them now, like, I understand, man, you made the wrong decision. We all do that in life. You're young. You can always come home. You won't even be far from home. You're probably an hour at best from home. Just come on home. That's just my only thing for him. Dabo, it's time to go, man. It's just time to retire because clearly you're not going to adapt, and we see the end result of all that when you don't adapt. You're very, very close. You come to stuff like this, you be at the bottom real quick. And just to see how big Clemson was at one point in time, like it was like Alabama and Clemson, and it was everybody else. And now it just feels like Clemson probably may be at best, off the top of my head, maybe fourth best in your own conference.
Ooh.
And I'm just saying, Miami, Florida State,
Stop.
maybe even Louisville, maybe.
Stop. Florida State, stop.
I'm just saying better than them right now.
Did you hear what Josh Pate said today?
No, what do you say?
Maybe it was yesterday. I don't know. I saw the clip today. But Brensky, you'll love this because it goes into what you're saying. He said a lot of Clemson fans are saying, well, it's Georgia. They do that to everybody. And Josh's point was, that was you 3 years ago. So how far have you gone that now you're the team whose head is rolling on the field? And I was like, damn.
It's just crazy to me, man. I don't understand like why you want to adapt, and it was just going to show on the field. Like, oh, you were trying to do it your way, you was being stubborn and all that. But hey, man, that's life. If you do not adapt, you're going to die. And you're dying on the football field. And clearly we see that your quarterback is just not it. I don't care if he was a 5-star. He playing like he's a 1-star and trying to do a run pass option on Georgia, knowing doggone well you're not going to outrun nobody in the end is hilarious to me. I'm like, you was overthrowing. They should at least scored they could have scored on Georgia multiple times, overthrown balls or whatnot, but he's not he's just at some point you just got to realize he's just another DJU. I don't know.
Don't say that too loud, Brensky.
Hey, I'm sorry, but that was the same thing. That's the same. He's playing this exact same way. You thought you was getting an upgrade, but he's not doing anything. Or whatnot. The defense is playing lights out, but there's only so much they can do. They need help. And it ain't too much to say about Georgia. I'm about to say they started off slow. My favorite guy on the team, Malachi Starks, is what I expected him to do. So you see that amazing interception that he did.
That's a bad boy.
I'm about to say, do y'all not expect this from him? I expect this from him. I expect greatness. I don't. It's not amazing. It's amazing, but I expect greatness from him all the time. And Damian Wilson, coming off that edge, fast. I forgot the other boy. He was number 13.
Michael Williams. He got hurt in the third quarter, but yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Is he all right?
He day week to week. He won't play this weekend. He probably play in the Kentucky game.
Oh, I'm about to say, tell him to stay out the Alabama game too. But
and to be honest, he may not play a lot in the Kentucky game because you guys are the next game. So,
well, I think y'all got to buy like we got to buy before the Georgia game. So he'll definitely play.
Yeah,
but man, it's nothing new with Georgia. KJ Bolden didn't expect him to play early, but I didn't know y'all other safety was out. So it's good to see.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a stud back there. Like I said, I expect that from him. It really ain't too much to say. It's just time to go home, Dabo. It's time to get a new coach.
Well, I know this man's been waiting since Saturday morning to get on this one. Jance, the floor is yours, man. We're going to finish up with the Clemson talk, and then we're going to talk some Bama, but I know you've been wanting to cook Dabo forever. Go ahead. Is Jance here? He might have taken a break at the worst time.
No, I have my mic muted. You see Dabo muted my mic. No, it's Graham Neff should fire Dabo Swinney, but it's not really going to happen. Dabo Swinney has a lot of control and he has a lot of influence over that program. Now, the fans are not happy with it. The fans are starting to get pissed off and lose their patience, rightfully so. But unfortunately, Graham Neff he won't have the balls to do it because Dabo Swinney is the best coach in their program's history. They will not let go of Dabo Swinney.
True story.
We are witnessing, this is the Les Miles, Mark Richt effect, where he's not adapting to the game. He's refusing to use the transfer portal. His old methods of recruiting isn't really working. He should go, but he will not go. And so, unfortunately, yes, Clemson's going to have to go through this for at least about 2 or 3 more years. Where yes, they're going to win games, right? Unfortunately, they're competing in the worst conference, the worst Power 4 conference by far in the country. So they're going to win a lot more games than what they actually would be if they were in the SEC or in the Big Ten Conference. And that's going to really help keep Clemson's job, because unfortunately, the worst of Dabo Swinney is still some of the best in that program's history. That's how treacherous and how terrible of a joke of a program Clemson actually is the fact that Dabo's worst seasons could still literally be Clemson's best seasons in their program's history. So he will not go. He will stay, and Clemson will continue to be a mediocre program the way that they actually are. But one thing that we do know is that Dabo is one of the most overrated coaches in the country. This is why, Ty, when you brought me on and we had that segment about who the best coaches were, he wasn't even in my top 25, because he has still not shown the ability to replace that first coaching staff that he brought over. Now, credit to him, because that coaching staff was loyal to AT. Todd Bates, Brett Venables, I forgot the other one, the other coach who went to Wake Forest, but that coaching staff was loyal to AT. But as soon as you lost that, as soon as you lost your position of coaches, what has happened? Nothing. Offensively, you've had 2 back-to-back 5 stars, and you have not done a single thing with them. Matter of fact, those quarterbacks don't even look like 5 stars. They look like 2-star players. They are complete and absolute bust. DJ Uiagalelei looks terrible at Florida State. Well, I mean, he doesn't look that bad, but he's nowhere near the 5-star status that we've seen. And then, my gosh, this quarterback right here, guys, in Cade Klubnik, is one of the worst 5 stars I think I've ever seen. He does not look like a 5-star quarterback. He doesn't even look nowhere close to it. He is not talented, in my personal opinion. His literally everything about him has to improve. He can't process. He can't read. He's still, I mean, for the most part, he's stuck on the first read. Can barely even get past that. For the most part, never sets his feet. Can't climb the pocket. When he does go outside, he tries to be a superhero by trying to make these crazy off-platform throws. And his deep ball accuracy and ball placement is absolutely terrible. I have no idea how this dude even won a job in the first place. But again, the only transfers that Clemson has taken are literally backup quarterbacks. If you actually go back and look at the 24/7 Sports website, the only transfers that they literally brought in were backup quarterbacks. Yet none of them will even barely even get the playing time. I feel bad for Clemson's defense, because I think Brensky. A lot of you guys are right. TJ Parker, Peter Woods, Peyton Page, DeMonte Capcar, all 4 of these dudes can go in the NFL draft this year, and I think they will have really, really good careers. I think their secondary is vastly underrated. I think Barrett Carter is one of the best linebackers in the country. But again, for the last really 4 years, you can make a legit argument that Clemson has had an elite defense, a top 10 defense, and it's all been wasted because Clemson has literally had some of the worst offenses in the Dabo Swinney era, and it's not even been close. You see that this year they don't have a ground game, at least that they were able to afford and have a ground game. This year they don't even have a ground game, and you see the exact consequences of Clemson's actions. Clemson's going to win a lot of games, but this is going to be a Les Miles, Mark Richt sort of year where they'll win 8 or 9 games this year. Dabo Swinney will have a couple years of passing, and then we'll see what kind of happens. But there's a reason why he canceled his radio show. There is a reason why he canceled his radio show, because fans were calling into that show criticizing Dabo Swinney with the way he was recruiting, questioning him about why he wasn't utilizing the transfer portal, and he got offended. He got butthurt about it, and he decided to cancel that radio show for the entirety of the year. So there's a reason why that's not even happening. He's barely even talking to the media. He's past his prime, and it happens to everyone. But unfortunately, their athletic director Neil won't have the balls to do it because of how huge Dabo Swinney has been to that program.
It's funny you talk about ending the call-in show. Chance, I don't know. Can you see Poetic's comment on the screen right now?
Yep.
He said Jance might be Tyler from Spartanburg on the low. And that's pretty good to me, Poetic. That's pretty
Tyler,
good.
He went harder than me, man. Tyler went in.
And you know what? He was 100% right. Coach Sean, what you thinking, man?
Man, I didn't get a chance to watch the film that you sent yet. I was super busy, but I'll just say this, just from watching the game. I'll make it quick. You can't run zone read against a team if your quarterback is no threat to really keep the ball, especially not a team against that's aggressive as Georgia. It's not read. It's not read option where you're still reading defensive end, but you're optioning the ball. It's zone read with Cade Klubnik. Here's the problem with that. When you run zone read, man, you leave a defender unblocked purposefully, making him make a decision, right? You're making him make a decision, whether it's a defensive end, whether it's an outside linebacker walking up, it don't matter. You're making him make a decision. Backside tackle usually cleans up a gap, B gap, maybe, right? Here's the problem with that against Georgia. Georgia never respected that at all. They didn't give a damn whether K cut like kept it. Their inside linebackers didn't give a damn if you handed it. You cannot run zone read if you don't set it up with a running quarterback. Go watch the Baltimore Ravens and watch what the Ravens do before Lamar really gets into the zone read principles. They'll let Lamar keep it a few times. So they respect that athleticism from the quarterback. They never respected K Klubnik. Coach J is 100% correct. And then I text Ty, I text Jake. I'm like, what the hell do they keep running zone read? Like what are you doing? This is Georgia. Their defensive ends, outside linebackers, just sitting on it. They didn't give a damn. They was laughing at that, bro. And then you want to throw it downfield on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, like so predictable. And Coach I is 100% correct. Go watch that TCU offense. Man, they used to do that same stuff with Max Dugan or whatever his name was, right? The problem with that zone read stuff is if your quarterback hadn't made the defense respect them, they don't care if you they don't. It reminds me of what Auburn used to do a few years back when they had big Jeremy Johnson trying to run zone read with Jeremy Johnson. Like, what are you doing? Ain't nobody caring whether Georgia was just eating it. They were sitting, and then here's the crazy part. Georgia secondary was sitting on everything. They was swatting. They didn't respect them throwing down the field. Malachi was waiting on that. They didn't respect when you play Georgia, man. You have to be physical with them. You can't trick them and beat them to the edge. You can't trick Georgia and beat them to the edge. We probably had as much success against Georgia with anybody on quarterback runs, on 3rd downs, and things of that nature. You're not going to be able to trick these people because they're very aggressive. Their front just, I think Jake called it, what you call it, Jake, control chaos or something like that. You got to really, really, really go out and take a low scoring game and try to, and you got to pick your wins and losses and play to the chains against Georgia. So you getting 3rd and long, man, that's like waving a stake in front of a wolf. You're going to lose that game against that team. So I didn't understand the offensive philosophy. The first half, to me, was more of Georgia just being out of sync first game than it was Clemson doing well, to be completely honest. Clemson's not a bad team, but you can watch Georgia. They was really out of sync, right? The running back, sometimes they was very, very, very out of sync. But that's normal. First game, you see second half. Brother, I seen a lot of my fans hit me on Twitter, AJ, Bama fan 316, shameless to God. Brother, listen, you don't go out against a top 15 team and score 20-something points in one half without being good. I ain't taking nothing from Clemson and all that, but that was just an ass whipping for Georgia, bro. You know what I'm saying? Georgia outcoached Clemson. They made Clemson very one-dimensional. Very one-dimensional. Clemson was playing with one hand behind their back because they couldn't do nothing else, man. I do not understand. It's kind of like what Coach Jay was saying. I do not understand what Clemson is going to do moving forward. They may win a few games in that conference, but if you listen to what Dabo said, okay, we understand what it looks like. What that means when a coach say that is playing a team like Georgia when you're really unprepared is really an eye-opener for them. It's really an eye-opener for them. Like, damn, you prepare all spring long and then you get to a game and it's just like, whoa. As a coach, you see it. When you're on the sideline, you see the difference. You see how nothing you're doing is working. So what happens then is you're scratching your ass pretty much. You're just calling plays and seeing what works. I mean, this happens. I know personally. When a team is stopping, it's like they've been in your film room, man. So you really have no options at that point. They could not beat Georgia. Their scheme is not going to beat Georgia. You're not going to outrun Georgia to the edges. You're not going to line up and just Here's the thing: Kirby's gonna play man, bro. Kirby's gonna play man, and you got to make him respect that. You got to make them, even if you don't complete the pass. Those Hail Mary type passes that Cade Klubnik was doing, bro, I don't even understand what the hell that was. The first half, they did have a few things open downfield. Dude, I don't know if he just can't throw. I don't know if he was nervous. I don't know what the hell was wrong, but that was just an ass kicking, bro, by Georgia. No way to really sum it up, man. They beat them in the trenches. The scheme was much better. And here's the thing, really quickly. Georgia, what I like about Georgia is they don't get out, they don't Georgia's not going to do nothing that they don't have. It reminded me of Michigan last year. They're not going to do nothing that they don't have to do. They're going to be, you can call it boring, vanilla, whatever. They're going to play their scheme, bro. You got to get Carson Beck off of his square. You got to make him move his feet. You can't let him just sit back there and have a cheeseburger and sing jingle fucking bells and all that. You got to get him off his square. Make him throw the ball. You can't give him great pockets and all of that. So I just didn't understand, man. I didn't understand, but that was an ass kicking by Jordan. You got to get him all the credit for that. A lot of the fans was, talking about Clemson was just that bad. I don't think so. I think Georgia just kicked their asses. That's just what I believe. You don't score that many points against a team like that in one half without some ass kicking, some belt to asses being available. And that's just what it was for me, man.
100%. Coach, I know you've got to hop off. You're about to go on Shoddy's show, another friend of the show over here. But before you get out of here, be sure to let everybody know where they can find all of your great content, and be sure to let them know where you're going right now, because we have one more game we're going to talk about, and then I'd love for people to go over there and support y'all.
Y'all know y'all can always find me at the Fanatics Sports Network. It's at Fanatic Sports on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, IG, all that. I'm headed over to Shawty Show. It's Just My Damn Opinion. He's doing a show talking about this week college football, best win, worst win, hot seat, all that good jazz, man. I appreciate time for having me. I do want to address some things that goes around after games like this, and Coach Sean addressed it a little bit. Listen, man, Clemson is good. There's things that need to be corrected, but Clemson is good. I still got them playing in the ACC championship game against Miami. I know some people say it's because it's a bad ACC. That's been Clemson's MO the whole time. It's always been a bad ACC. Thanks. But to say that, Clemson don't have talent, this ain't like a Georgia playing a South Carolina where the talent discrepancy is that bad. And if you just want proof, Dan Jackson, number 17, is our starting safety. He's all over the field all day Saturday. He's a walk-on. Go back and watch the last touchdown we scored. That was Cash Jones, number 32. Respect to Cash Jones. Stiff arming the 5-star Jaden Lucas cornerback, Cash Jones, walk-on. London Humphreys scored the touchdown. London Humphreys is a 3-star that only had a scholarship from Vandy. So I'm just saying, let's not act like it's just the 5 stars making plays. Yes, Kirby got a lot of 5 stars and 4 stars. Alabama got a lot of 5 stars and 4 stars. Ohio State got a lot of 5 stars and 4 stars. But you still got to coach these dudes up, man. You still got to coach these dudes up. So they ain't just like, let's roll the guys out there and we going to win. That's not what it is, because if that's the case, there's a lot of other coaches that will have national championships. So with that said, I appreciate all y'all, man. Jans, thanks for the rant. My boy Brinsky, Coach Sean, Jake, and Ty, man. I'll see y'all on the next one.
Appreciate it as always, Coach.
Ty, let me say this really fast, 10 seconds. Brother, go back and watch that game again and watch you already know, watch the offensive line. Bro, it was several times it was putting dudes on their back. Like them dudes that left that right tackle for Georgia, man, dude was putting D linemen on their back, bro.
And a good D line.
That's just a belt to ass. That ain't no bad team. That's just a man who's much better than you at the time.
And Clemson, like I said, Coach, they got a good D line. They're no slouch on the defensive line. They're no Florida State on the defensive line. Okay, had to send that shot in there. Why wouldn't I? Jake, talk to me about UGA Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an interesting game. I think, maybe we thought Clemson would put up more of a fight. In the first half, it looked like they were, right? It looked like maybe if they could get something offensively going, it would change some of the momentum of that game. But one thing Kirby does really well, and you find this with really good coaches, is their ability to adjust, right? And their ability to come back, see something very quickly, and then make a plan of attack and execute on a high level. Kirby and Georgia did that in the second half. They found what was the plan for Clemson to attack them, and they were able to make the correct adjustments to get after them. I think Georgia also showed their overall depth again, right? Like we knew they were going to have a good offensive line. Now we see like that offensive line's pretty premier, right? I mean, because the one thing Clemson does have is a good D line, and they kind of, for the most part, they manhandled that D line in the second half. Again, those are big shout outs to the coaching staff for their adjustments that they were able to make and capitalize on some of the things Clemson was doing. And Clemson, on the other hand, stuck to their guns and thought maybe that they would finally get a break, but it just wasn't happening. You definitely saw the offense struggle. The offense has a lot of question marks. You know, where's the leadership? Where's the playmakers? Are they there? Is this what happens when you don't utilize the portal correctly, right? On the offensive side. On the defensive side, you can only do so much. And then once a team figures you out and is able to isolate some of your strengths and attack your weaknesses, it starts to change the game, especially if you're putting no pressure on them from the offensive side of the ball. So we definitely saw that. We saw Georgia, the question mark was going to be their D-line this year, who was going to step up. We saw that they definitely have the players on defense. Now, there are some areas that that can be exposed, but at the same time, it just goes to show like Kirby Smart is a master when it comes to defense, and it comes to his planning and how he puts guys in the right places with the coaching staff, but also players on the field. So I think overall you saw Georgia, you saw Carson Beck step up without McConkey, without Bowers, and utilize what he had around him. So you saw him evolve his game a little bit. You also saw the offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo, evolve his game. Mike Bobo is very much a run-focused offensive coordinator, but we did see them open that up a little bit, and we are starting to see Bobo utilize his strength in his leadership in Carson Beck. So I think Georgia showed they're a complete team. There are some things to improve on, but at the same time, Georgia will be formidable going forward, and they will be a team that everyone is going to circle on their schedule if they play them. So
100%. And Darius, that's that. You don't say that. There are no snooze fests. There are only lessons.
mm-hmm.
You don't say that. I'm just messing with you, Darius. Awesome to have you in here. And I know you're excited for your dogs, and as you should be. Coach Sean, I completely agree with you. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, this Georgia team's not good. I went back and watched, and I'm like, I'm not saying that I think they're like unbeatable. That's not my contention. I'm not saying they played a perfect game.
Right.
But where are you seeing that they're not good? That's a good team, right? Because then the thing that I don't like is like, one, they were obviously good, and two, if Bama beats Georgia, why are people setting themselves up of, oh, Georgia wasn't even that good? No, if Bama beats Georgia, that's a hell of a win. Like, Georgia looked good.
They did.
Georgia looked good. But speaking of, gentlemen, a new tide is here. You know, the interesting thing about tides is that they cannot be ignored. No matter what you try and do to change the tide arrives. And this weekend against Western Kentucky, the Tide showed up once again. Now, I know before anybody out there says, and Ack says this Castellanos guy at quarterback for Boston College isn't half bad. He was the number 2 rushing quarterback in the nation last year for Power 5. Boston College was the number 2 rushing team in the ACC, and this cat hung 300 on Florida State last year. That's why I said, do not sleep on Boston College on this game. I've said it a lot. Do not sleep on them. Coach Carl saying they're not good. Shit, they're great. Can't like I can't dispute that. I'm not saying they're world beaters.
It's 0-0 with 2:45 left in the first quarter. So Florida State, I've been keeping an eye on it. They can't move the damn ball. So
they can't do anything. But I'm once again, everybody, I'm not saying Georgia is unbeatable. I did not see a team in college football that I said they're unbeatable. I saw a damn good team in Georgia, but I also saw a damn good team in Alabama. And I know before anybody comes on here and says, but Ty, it was Western Kentucky, you're right. Western Kentucky is also known for having some pretty darn good offenses. You look at the past few years, they've had offensive teams that can hurt you. Bama beat them 63-0. And the third and second stringers were playing pretty much well from the third quarter on. If you looked at expected play success, Alabama blew everybody in college football out the water this past weekend. Shout out to Stats of War on Twitter. He had the graphic. I had it pulled up. Bama, I mean, this offense is explosive. The only negative I saw, gentlemen, and it's not even a negative, I wanted to see more of the offense. But when you're scoring in a play and a half, what are you going to do? Right? Like, I just wanted to see more of it, but they didn't need to do more. Why go to page 5 if page 1 contains all the information you need? Guys, interested in hearing about you. Western Kentucky had that one drive where they converted some third downs, where they converted some fourth downs, but it definitely looked like the defense made an adjustment after that. They had nothing else the entirety of the game. Jake, we start with you in reverse order as I've kept y'all on your toes all night.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. Alabama played a great game. Obviously, there's some things, as you go through the film that will be improved on, but that's most teams in week 1, especially with a new staff and you're getting things rolling. Now, that is one thing I will say, even with the new staff, Alabama did look very, very good. I think one thing that stood out for me was defensively, that defense looked phenomenal. Not only do you get a shutout versus Western Kentucky, and for those who don't know, like Western Kentucky has a lot of playmakers on their team. Now, it didn't look like it on Saturday, I'll put it that way, but they have a lot of playmakers on that team. That offense has been pretty dang good over the last several seasons, especially with the style that they play, right? One of the things that we thought would be exposed was our defensive backs, and they weren't. If anything, it showed just how tight this group has become and how great the coaching staff has been in teaching these guys concepts, offensive recognition, route identification, and making sure they put themselves in the right place. Now, again, there's always things to improve on, but you saw the youth step up and play above their age. You saw the senior guys lead. You saw the combo of what Womack can do as a play caller, just focusing on as a defensive coordinator. And you saw a defense that was ready to eat somebody alive. I mean, they were flying to the ball. Next part of that is you jump over the offense. Again, a complicated offense that brings a lot of different dynamic and explosion to the field. We definitely saw that explosiveness. We saw the dynamic in play, but we also saw things that need to be cleaned up, that need to be worked on, that were a little reminiscent of last season. But the good news is really what it comes down to is just continuing to work together and continuing just to get into a rhythm. I think that's a big part. Did Bama's offense ever have a chance to get in a rhythm? Not really, because they were scoring very, very quickly, especially when they picked it up and things were opening up. We did see that Jalen looks good for the most part. Like I thought him throwing the ball looked phenomenal. Yeah, maybe a few throws off here and there, but so did Ty. Everyone who was like, well, we want Ty Simpson. Well, go back and watch the film. At this point, I think Jalen Milroe is more accurate than Ty Simpson. Granted, I get it. Ty was playing with maybe some second stringers and some different stuff online, and he was having to move around.
I'm so used to being the only Ty.
Yeah,
whenever you first said that, I perked up and I was like, wait, what did I do? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
You're out there throwing the ball, but
God forbid.
Ty looked great, man. Don't get me wrong, for what he was working with. There's times he had really good throws. There's times he had some really erratic throws. He was forcing the ball in the places that he shouldn't force the ball into. Granted, the interception was not his fault. At that point, he had gotten hit, so he wasn't able to get that power in the ball. But there's also a point of scrambling, and he made a throw that he should have never made. That was a decision-making process. It just goes to show that for all those people are saying, hey, you guys, Ty Simpson should beat out Milroe. Well, you need to go back and watch the film because Milroe looked very, very poised. He did a great job of stepping up into the pocket when he needed to. And I think he is in control of this offense as it continues to roll. Within the next few weeks, we are going to see him continue to grow and be better and better and better. And it's exciting to watch. Yeah, it was a very complete game. I'll put it that way. It's a complete game. But again, we need to see the offense with a little more fluidity. That's about it. But it was fun to watch, man. I'll tell you what, defense wins championships. And I can tell you right now, Alabama has that defense.
Now, speaking of, Jake, before we go on, I did say to Sir Jam earlier today that we would have someone on the panel talk about the difference in Swarm versus Saban's defense. If you could quickly go through this, Sir Jam, if you're not familiar, Jake played safety for Washington, Division I safety. So great person to having break down this question. Thank you for coming on the live, and thank you for asking this question because it is a great one, Jake.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing that it comes down to is the positioning of some of the players. What it comes down to, also the coverage styles, right? You're not going to have. So one of the things I could do a whole show on this, and it's hard to break everything down and give you guys like a quick summary, right? As far as the Swarm D, this 4-2-5 / 3-4 nickel compared to Saban's defense, which again turned into a 3-4 nickel. Base coverage out of Saban's defense is that cover 3, right? He likes to play with the middle of the field closed. There's a lot of rules when it came to the cover 3 and pattern match. That was his base calls, but he also liked to play a lot of man. People don't realize that cover 3 within his defense turned into man. The difference, I think, really is what you're seeing is obviously gap assignments. Instead of defensive linemen having 2-gap, right? 2-gap is more so made to protect both and at the same time stop the run. And your pressure comes from your linebackers. In this situation with a single gap assignment, your pressure should come from your D-line, which we did see. Right. We saw that our defensive line, our D tackle make some serious plays, really collapsing the pocket from the inside, forcing the quarterback outside. Now we need to have a little bit more discipline off the edge when it comes down to not letting those holes open up for the quarterback to escape through. But at the same time, we just saw that aggressiveness. I think the next part of that too is with this defense, if we were to go and we were to take this secondary who's really young and put them into a pattern match defense, this base cover 3, you would have some errors because there are a lot of rules. And again, I could go through this and really talk about each rule and how it breaks down. But at the same time, what you're looking at from a vision and break coverage compared to a pattern match is pattern match really make sure you stick based on the verticals to it turns into a man coverage, whether it's the safety or whether it's the corner, right? Whether it's a mag call or a mod call, right? For those who don't know, those are part of Saban's terms. The next part of that too is within this vision coverage is now you're playing more of a zone, right? You're still having pieces of the pattern match within the zone, but at the same time, you're defending an area of the field, right? So you are defending windows where the quarterback is trying to throw into instead of defending a man specifically, right? So you're defending these windows, and what that does is what we saw a big part of that this weekend is it creates, when you have the right pressure, because you have single gap assignment from the defensive lineman, right? And you're bringing different stunts and blitz packages from the linebackers, from the Wolf, from the Bandit, right? What it does is now the quarterback has to quickly make a decision. And when you defend windows due to your eyes being on the quarterback, right, you get to see the quarterback's motion, what he is seeing right away. And at that point, you quickly can make a break or going into the zone where he's potentially throwing into that window. And again, we saw Keon Sabb do that perfectly with his 2 interceptions. So that is in gist of things. Small gist of things, that is the difference. We can definitely do something and talk about that on another show if you guys would like, and we can get a little more into it. But that's a quick summary of some of the different things that you would see. So
yeah, whenever he asked me earlier, I gave a very simple answer, Jake. My answer was up front, you're going to have more guys going deeper into their pursuit in the lanes, right? In terms of your defensive linemen, they're going to be more forward than in Saban's scheme, where it was more of a get you and then peak, right? This is more of an attack. And on the back end, you're going from pattern match to vision and break, which is simpler for young defensive backs. Now, listen, there are pros and cons to everything. There's not a perfect system out there, because if there was, guess what? Everyone would run it. There are pros and cons to everything, but when you have a young secondary, vision and break is probably more conducive to success, because it's not as strenuous. So love that right there. Coach Sean, talk to me about Alabama.
For me, man, I was satisfied. If you have to play Western Kentucky, that's what you want to do to them. Obviously, there's always things you can get better on. I'd be pissed if it wasn't, right? It was a play to I can't remember if it was CJ Dupree or Josh Cuvaz. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I think it was like for a little 8-9 yard dump, but the scheme of the play is what I appreciate. These guys faked the outside. We faked the outside zone, brought some motion uh, to the backside of the formation, faked the fly motion. Um, the running back, I don't know if it was Justice or Jam, released on a wheel play, vertical, right? Now we all know if the linebacker go with the wheel, tight end's wide open. Linebacker takes tight end, running back's wide open. The guy took the running back, tight end come across formation and caught the ball in space for a nice little dump. And if he hadn't slipped, he actually would have ran for more yards. Just that type of play is going to help Alabama in the future, man. Pre-snap motion and things like that, really extenuating Jalen Milroe the way he's supposed to be extenuated. I seen what Darius was like. He want to see 25 pass attempts for what? Why? We didn't need it. Jalen Milroe was 7 of 9 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. It wasn't no need for it. That's ridiculous. It wasn't a need for it at all. The thing about it is Alabama only punted 3 times, right? And if you got to play Western Kentucky, that's what you want to do to them. Leave them with a goose egg, do what you want. And the drive where they actually kept the ball for 18 minutes, that's the drive that we did a lot of subbing on. I can remember, I don't think it was no starters on the defensive line. James Smith was out there. It was a gang of kids out there who weren't the starters, letting them play. That was very smart to get those young kids in the game early. Xavier Mincy played corner. Xavier Brown played corner. Jalen Mbakwe played corner. That was smart because the coach realized we're going to have those kids, during this season. So that was very smart to get those, kids a lot of good playing time, a lot of good reps. I've been on record saying that the secondary will be our strength here in about another year. Those kids will all be dogs. You wait for it. The defense played exceptionally well. Defensive front kicked ass. Really, really, really enjoyed I'm an offensive guy, as you know. I really enjoyed to see Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts pulling backside and cleaning up on the inside, pinning and pulling. Man, that's going to help us greatly. That is going to. I don't know if you guys pay attention, but the holes that they were opening, especially second half when the offense got in a little rhythm, man, it was outstanding. So the haters can say what they want, but at the end of the day, if you know this game, and I'm only talking to the people that know this game, you know what you saw. You know what you saw, and you know it's going to be a problem for the rest of the season. That's a whole fact. So I was, it's always things we can work on, right? But the competent offense is what I was proud of. Seeing us really run things based on the chains, based on down and distance. That's what I'm used to with Lane, with Sark. Not just us running high lows on 3rd and 4, like a play that don't make no sense to nobody. So that was very, very, very positive for me to see. And I think it's just going to get better. It's no reason to use Jalen and all these different things. And I would have liked to see our offense play a little longer, but what can you do when you're scoring 63 points? I mean, you got to let the other kids play. I understand it. Looking forward to the South Florida game. Somebody that'll challenge us a little bit more in the secondary. But if you got to play Western Kentucky, that's the score that you want to see. So I was utterly satisfied.
Yeah, if you're gonna play them, leave no doubt. There was no doubt left. Jance,
Right.
talk to me. And before you go, Jance, I just want to let everybody know it's 11:49, 11:48. Obviously, time's ticking down. In the second quarter of this Boston College Florida State game, DJU has 5 yards. Woof.
Yeah,
Go
Boston College is kicking their ass offensively and defensively, and they're about to score another touchdown. Yeah, Florida State are frauds. I think we all kind of know this. And I think the craziest part is there's literally half the stadium is missing. They're not there. Like it's almost an empty stadium. Like that's how you know Florida State is in some turmoil right now. But hey, you keep complaining that you got screwed over in the playoffs. But no, I think Alabama did a pretty good job. For the most part, there's not too many complaints. I think there's just some small nitpicks here and there with Jalen Murrow and obviously with Elijah Pritchett going at the right tackle position. Again, we'll kind of see what happens. We know Caden Proctor is week to week. Like I said, week to week that could be 3 to 5 weeks. That can be anywhere from about 1 to 2 weeks. We'll see what kind of happens with Caden Proctor instead of the right tackle spot, because in pass pro, I'm a little concerned with Pritchett. I definitely know that in this particular offense, where you can use Elijah Pritchett's athleticism to get him out in space, especially when we run a lot of pin and pull. I thought that he was a key strength in the run game, and but in pass pro, some things that I'm very, very concerned with. But I was very happy with the offensive line. That was kind of one of the things I just wanted to see was, can we see how we're going to see these guys, this offensive line, compared to last year where it was basically a power run scheme. How is it, basically in this blocking scheme, how are they going to react? How are they going to, react to the game? And to see a lot of these guys just get out in open space, Parker Brailsford center is pulling more times than I think I've ever seen. That I've seen us ever pull before. It was just so exciting and so fun to watch, and how we were able to kind of go out there and seal off the edges and let our running back squeeze through the gaps and just make them work. It was absolutely fun to watch our offensive line work. Tyler Booker, Parker Brailsford had the one mishap with the botch snap, but I thought overall he played a very, very good snap. It was like a 9-man rotation with our offensive line. Like even with Jalen Murrow being in the game, like we rotated a lot with Montgomery being in the game, and sometimes that was kind of one of the things that I liked. Pretty much the entirety of the game, especially on that one drive where again we let out 21 plays. I counted 15 players were rotated in that drive. 15.
That's a fact.
Like it was nuts how many times we were rotating, and a lot of the times we were in the right positions. We were pretty much just, we were purposely kind of giving up the underneath because again, in this defense, and Boston College just scored another touchdown. It's about 13-0. But it's in this defense, you're going to have your linebackers, a lot of your secondary, a lot of your safeties, corners. They're going to tackle a lot in open space. They're going to give up the underneath in some of those situations, and that's the whole purpose is for them to swarm. Now I think there's weak spots about the 4-2-5. It's not perfect, but knowing the athletes that we do have and knowing the caliber of players that we do have, I think that is something that, again, getting those guys rotated and adjusted is something that was just that I really liked. That kind of caught me off guard. I don't think I've ever seen in a football game in general 15 players getting rotated. I mean, from our first string all the way down to our fourth string. I mean, Bryson Hubbard got into the game in the first. I mean, I've never seen that before happen in a football game. So no, I was extremely happy about this football game. Nothing was perfect, of course. Justin Jefferson missed literally 7 tackles on that 21 play drive, by the way. 3 of them were on third down conversions. So he's got to get better in terms of tackling. But other than that, no. I mean, we were able to take care of business. I don't know where this Jalen Murrow criticism is coming from. He only threw the ball 9 times. There was a couple plays where I'm like, yeah, he kind of bailed out a little bit too quickly, especially I know when they brought that zone blitz, that corner coming off the edge. I wish Jalen Murrow would have saw that slant, especially where you were able to kind of identify the blitzer And instead of just taking off, I wish he would just threw that slant because he was there. You attack him, but he didn't do it. But then that's fine. I mean, that was the only big mistake that I saw. Other than that, I don't get the criticism of Ty Simpson was the better quarterback. I've heard that a lot, and I don't see where people are kind of saying. I thought they were both solid for what they were to kind of witness. But yeah, I mean, there's not that much to show from because of how dominant the offensive line was. I mean, like I said, and maybe that can be a concern because let me tell you something. Wisconsin's front is trash. It's terrible. I seen that game against Western Kentucky. It was even. It's just not good, guys. Wisconsin of old is dead. This Melvin Gordon, James White, Charles Clay, James, it's gone. Unfortunately, they've lost too many transfers. Their coaching staff has been depleted. It's just been ripped to toe. They lost a lot of players to the NFL draft. It's done. And then, of course, South Florida, of course, we'll see what kind of happens with that. But unfortunately, we may not see this offense until the Georgia game. We may not see the real aspects of us not going, not in terms of getting up the vanilla, those vanilla sort of packages. We may not see the full extent of this offense literally until Georgia because of how bad South Florida and Wisconsin actually are. So we'll see what kind of happens in those particular games. Again, Wisconsin, I want to give some, you got to give some respect. You're going to Camp Randall. It's going to, I don't even know. Tickets are not even sold. Tickets are $35. The prices have dropped dramatically because of that Western Michigan game. People are reselling their tickets. That's how it's guys. Like I said before, guys, we may not see the full extent of this offense literally until the Georgia game, and so that's the one concern for me because I am one of those people that say, you know what, even though I understand we're going vanilla based off of the competition, you do want to see if Jalen Merrill can really execute this offense at a high level, especially against the high competition. And if anything, this is why I hate week 1 because we should have a preseason because going against the Western Kentuckys and it's not really, I mean, yes, experience wise, it's going to help you, but in terms of just you trying, knowing if you can execute the full extent of the offense, you don't know that until you're going against real comp. And the graces of what we used to do was that back in the day, we did go against top flight competition in those week 1 openings. And so, you saw what happened last year against Texas, where we couldn't really execute as much as offense. The penalties started happening defensively. We were just making a lot of mishaps, a lot of plays, just a lot of simplistic mistakes. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact because of week 1. So that's my one concern is the level of competition up until that Georgia game. We may not see the full execution of this offense and defense.
Listen, I think that's fair. I agree with Coach Sean. If you play at Western Kentucky, you want to go out there, leave no doubt. But I do agree, and I was actually talking with Jay of Unfair Sports. Shout out. We were on the phone earlier today, and I said something very similar, Jance, where I was like, I wish Wisconsin looked a little bit better because I would love a bit more of a test before Georgia to get these guys ready. And one thing before we continue, Brinsky, about to pass it to you, but I do want to say this because y'all know if this was the players' ball, hate, the international haters' ball, I would be here hating on Florida State. Boston College has 161 yards before the touchdown to Florida State's 8. That's awful.
They're getting dominated on the line of scrimmage. I mean, this is embarrassing.
They're terrible.
This is embarrassing. And, it is what it is. Hey, Rodell Williams, Earl Little Jr., man, y'all made that decision. And like I said, I respect y'all decision, man. But y'all went to that. You're getting embarrassed on national television again. Only 40. It looks, again, look at their stadium. Look at their stadium. It is half full.
Yeah, that top row is empty, isn't it? I just saw that. You know what? To quote Chappelle once again, you hate to see it. But more than that, you love to see it. Brinsky, close us out, my man. What were your thoughts on Alabama's rout of Western Kentucky?
Nothing's. It ain't nothing too much I can say after what all these guys said. I just love a lot of new guys. Keon Sabb came ready to play. Hopefully he plays like that all year long, lights out. Quay Russaw playing like a monster out there. If he can play like that all year, we'll be ain't no telling.
And Campbell.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh my God. You talking about lights out? Oh my goodness.
I love him at Sting, man. I love him. That's Sting spot.
He
So
was
good.
definitely playing. He was definitely playing lights out, man. And he is showing he is one of the top linebackers in the nation with the way he's playing. And I hope that he keeps playing like that, man, because he's going to be a problem for a lot of defenses. And I'm glad he's on our team, but it's just week one. I wish we had a tougher test. We're going to have more of a test next week with South Florida with more talent, but we just still got to see what's going on with our team. But so far, so good.
Love it. Love it. And you're right, Lynn. Both of the Carver guys played at a top level. That's 100% true. The defense to me was so impressive. And I'll give you just a few brief takes on my thoughts. One, Ryan Williams is advertised. We knew he was going to be good. He was great. Future is so bright for him too. Damani Jackson made me giggle on the couch several times because he was jamming his wide receivers he was damn near putting them on their butt. And that was hilarious to watch. There was one time where they did a stack formation, and I get it. You want to attack the young, inexperienced secondary. And so you want to throw something at them. And this is Western Kentucky. Dang Trojan life. I saw you earlier saying it's Western Kentucky. I don't disagree with you. Here's the nuance to this, though. They are good offensively. Defensively, they are not very good. Offensively, Western Kentucky's head coach, he is known for putting together really effective game plans and schemes, right?
Some of the concepts were really good.
That's him.
On that 21 play drive, there was a few concepts out there that I'm like, damn, we called some good defensive play calls, and they did a really, really good job of finding and really kind of exploiting the weakness. They had some good drives, but then TJ Finley is terrible.
Yeah,
he's god awful. Literally one read, couldn't go through the reads of progressions, because there was a few times where I'm like, man, if you could just get off that first read and just go through your progressions a little bit, man, you got time in that pocket. There are receivers that were getting open, and so.
Next year, Sir Jam. I mean, and it'll be the same thing, right? Because Alexander came to Alabama as an edge guy, just like Campbell. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if next year you see Rousseau continue, or he might, honestly, Rousseau next year, he's so damn versatile that he could kind of do what Campbell's doing right now, or Alexander could do that, and then you have Justin Okoronkwo also playing in there. Bama has a lot of talented linebackers, not worried about that. Loved what I saw from them. LT Overton is a beast. James Smith is a beast. Nothing to say there. Keon Sabb, steal of the portal, right? He was the steal of the portal. On offense, love the pin and pull. Talked about that. That opened up some really big runs. And yeah, Matt Farm, when I say relegated, and I think I misspelled it, so that's my fault. It's just like English Premier League. The top two or the bottom two teams in EPL, they go to the lower division. If Florida State loses this game, we need to relegate them out of Power 5. They can go to Conference USA or something. I don't give a damn. But
can I address Darius real quick?
Yeah.
Darius, this entire panel could beat Florida State. All we're just missing is just four of the players, and us alone could beat Florida State.
You flatter me. Y'all could beat Florida State, and I'll be on the sideline. I'll be the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Y'all got it, but I don't bring those shine down. Gentlemen, Bama played great. Those are my brief takeaways. Damani Jackson jamming people into another universe and then running that 10-2-5. Really impressed with him. Sabb, unbelievable. Defense was impressive. Rousseau, Jahad Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. I had a tweet about this. He's going to be one of the most interesting NFL draft prospects this cycle. He's fascinating. He is fascinating. Love to see it, though. Gentlemen, we're going to go around the table, let everybody know where they can find all of your great content. and then we're going to go watch some football. I've been watching it on my phone. One last thing before we go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, we were supposed to go for an hour, and we're not good. I'm not good. I'll own this, guys. I'll own this. I'll take the bullets for this. We're not good at staying on time, but you know what that means? We're not shortchanging you on content. You're not going to get shortchanged here. And Jeremiah Smith is unbelievable. That freshman wide receiver class is unbelievable. Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Wingo, Perry Thompson. Like the freshman wide receiver class last year was incredible, just incredible. So it is what it is. Jake, we'll start with you. Where can the people?
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you guys. This is awesome. It was great being on here with everybody. Yep, we got some football to watch. That's what I've been tuning into a little bit. But I'll tell you guys, come find me at Set the Tone College Football. Please come like, subscribe, check it out. We'll do some content tonight too, and just gonna keep rolling, man. We got a lot of fun things coming up through the week. Dude, yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. Make sure you hit that notification too, and don't miss any of the live stuff, whether we do it here, we do it with Coach Sean, with Jay, with Brensky, with obviously Ty here at Roundtable Sports. Make sure you come to each of the channels, hit that notification, come like, share, subscribe, hang out with us, man. We really appreciate you guys all.
Coach Sean, my guy, where can the people find you?
You can definitely find me on Twitter at JMHO Sports Talk, just my humble opinion, and right here on YouTube with all the fellas. Thank you to Ty as usual. Good to see my man Coach Jay back. Just tap in with us if you get a chance. JMHO Sports Talk on Twitter and YouTube.
Jance, good to see you again, man. Where can they find all your great stuff?
Yeah, man, Jet Sports on YouTube. We're getting back into the swing of things. I also started a TikTok. So it's at
May God have mercy on that platform.
So yeah, it's Jet Sports. I already made a couple of stuff over there. So I don't know if you guys have TikTok, but if you guys want to follow me there, it's the same thing, Jet Sports. X or Twitter as you call it, same thing, Jet716, now Jet Sports. And yeah, for the most part, like I said, college football season's back, so I'll be doing a lot more coverage and a lot more content, and I'll be talking to a lot of these guys, jumping on their platforms. Of course, I'll be here with Ty, and be doing my own stuff. So yeah, can't wait. And like I said before, man, Florida State just looks absolutely abysmal. They just did it. They just did the chop celebration, and that is the saddest looking chop I've ever seen. They literally just.
It was the most half-assed chop I've seen in years, huh, Chance?
I've never seen a chop like that. I mean, that's, and then DJ can barely even complete a pass. I mean, this is sad. This is just sad to watch.
We love it. Brensky, talk to the people.
Brensky Sharp had the Sharpshooters podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Also, me at B_Sharp on Twitter. Appreciate the fellas as always. Another great show. College football is back, so you already know what time it is. We putting out this great content, and I'm just gonna be hopping on everybody's show, putting out great content with them. So appreciate you, Ty, as always.
Appreciate all of you. You guys truly do. You guys on the panel, the people in the chat, Nicole, Pam, Sir Jam. Sir Jam, I believe he's new to the channel, gentlemen. He came on, asked a question on the video I did earlier, and I gave a brief answer and told him, hey, we're going live at 5:30. There's some guys that played the game. Would love to have you come and ask this question. That way it can be discussed further. So, Sir Jam, thank you for contributing. That's what this is all about, right? We're college football fans. Some of these guys are former players, but we just do this for the love of the game. And Nicole, thank you very much. Even Darius, right? Georgia fan. This is a place for college football fans, all of them. Doesn't matter who, we even accept Auburn fans, if that lets you know that this is a safe space. I don't know what will. Last thing before we get out of here, DJU is 0 of 5 on passes beyond the line of scrimmage. What the hell?
Yeah, we need to go watch this.
Yeah, I got to get out of here. He just got sacked. I don't know. What the hell? Anyways, We have one more person that has yet to speak. For those of you that have been around the channel, you know what this is. It is the spinning wheel of doom. What is the spinning wheel of doom, you may ask? Well, let me introduce you. And it spins.